And welcome back to the Sports Fix on this Thursday evening. We're in the home stretch and it's time for Court and her Sports Express.
All aboard the Sports Express, your ticket to sporting news.
I had to have a bit of a laugh when I first heard this story. Derek Lewis is a name that you may not be familiar with, but he's a UFC champion. Now, this guy is huge. He's 190 centimetres tall, so he's nearly 2 metres tall, weighs a whopping 120 kilos. And some fool decided he'd try to steal this guy's car. Of course, the unsuspecting thief didn't realise that the guy was a UFC star. But when Derek Lewis heard someone, trying to steal his car, he went out there. And I love what the police put in their report. He struck the suspect, placed him on the ground until police then arrived. That is possibly the nicest way to say he knocked that dude out. But the messed up thing, because the guy didn't actually manage to get into the car, and now he's facing a charge of criminal mischief instead of theft because he didn't get inside the vehicle. But still, just goes to show you don't mess with a UFC champion. Having a look at what's going on with the Olympics. Now, we haven't heard a lot about our swim team. The trials, I think they open up next month. But apparently some of our swimming coaches have said that, the team's looking in all right shape. There's been a few romances, a little bit of drama that's been going on with the team. But he says, when I look across the board, there's a lot of opportunities for our Aussies to be on the podium. We're going to take that and we're going to put all our hopes and dreams in that basket and hope that that certainly turns out to be true when it comes to the 2020 in 2021 Olympics. As we look to cricket news this morning, and apparently the MCG will be back to 100% capacity for the Ashes. And even though there's been rumours that the Boxing Day test will move from Melbourne, at this point in time, despite poaching attempts, it is still locked in to Melbourne. The expectations are certainly set in place, but they're only locked into Melbourne until 2022. So there's discussions underway to see if they can keep the tradition in Melbourne. And now you've heard our daily coverage of local sport on the radio. Well, we've developed daily videos on the latest in your local sport with a dedicated Facebook page. So we've got the scores, the previews, and the significant moments of interest. Flow Sports is our Facebook page. So jump online, like and follow Flow Sports today.
Thanks, Court. Yes, make sure you do Flow Sports on Facebook. Like it and start following it and look forward to seeing those videos on there as well. And Courtney will be back with the Sports Express. It's all part of the Brekkie Flow that you can catch between 6 and 9 tomorrow morning. It'll be the Happy Friday edition. We're all looking forward to it. Just before I go, time for some birthdays from today, who people are celebrating their birthday. Brian Dixon, the former Australian rules footballer with Melbourne, played with 5 Melbourne Premiership sides, coached North Melbourne from 71 to 72, also had a successful political career as a Liberal member and went on to become the Minister of Youth, Sport and Recreation, and later became President of AFL South Africa. And Brian Dixon, 85 today. Sterling Mortlock, the Australian rugby player, former captain of the Wallabies, the Brumbies and the Melbourne Rebels, scored over 1,000 points in Super Rugby, nearly 500 test points for the Wallabies too, and Sterling 44 today. Mark Winterbottom, the Aussie racing driver, he won Bathurst 1000 with Stephen Richards in 2013 and twice won the Sandown 500 in 06 and 2015. Also winner of the 2015 International V8 Supercar Championship, winning the first title for Ford in 5 years. He is the son of the 69 and 74 Australian Sprint Car champion Jim Winterbottom, and Mark is 40 today. An AFL player, Brendan Goddard, turning 36, made his debut at the age of 17 for St Kilda back in 2003. In 2013, he joined Essendon. In 2016, he served as captain. He ended his career at the end of 2018, having played 334 games. And it was on this day, back in 2019, that Austrian Formula One racing driver Niki Lauda passed away at the age of 70. He was a 3-time Formula One World Drivers' Championship, founded and ran 3 airlines, Lauda Air, Niki and Lauda, and in 76, he was seriously injured in a crash at the 1976 German Grand Prix, but he survived and continued his involvement not just with the airlines but with the Formula One industry. And Niki Lauda passing away 2 years ago on this day. Well, that's it for the Flow Sports Fix for this week. Thank you for all your company on each night. It's been lots of fun bringing you the program. We love doing it, love our sport, and like trying to find some different little things for you as well. Next week, just to give you a bit of a tease, chatting to a Paralympian, another Paralympian next week in a sport that I'm not familiar with, and maybe many of us are not, but that's what we like to do. So looking forward to that. That's coming up next week on the Flow Sports Fix. A reminder about the sports show tomorrow between 4 and 7. If you love your footy and netball and a few other surprises, then make sure you're listening out to the Flow Man and the Step Man tomorrow afternoon, right here on Flow. Enjoy your sport, whether you're participating, whether you're watching, or whatever you're doing. Make sure you enjoy yourself. Have a good one, and we'll see you again next week on the Sports Fix right here on Flow.